Hello everybody, this is pt.9 and welcome back to some more Miles Edgeworth AA2 Investigations 2 Prosecutor's Path, the Forgotten Turnabout. In the previous episode, we went head-to-head with Blaze in Logic Chess to find out the truth of this case. And with the truth in mind, we are now going to have to argue it with the PIC. If you like what you see, leave a like down below, comment if you have anything to say, subscribe to me if you haven't already, and share with your friends so they can join in on this adventure investigation. April 6th, 8:30 a.m., Grand Tower PIC meeting room. 10 members are present. The quorum has been met. From here on out, let the council begin. Delays of the deliberation shall be about Miles Edgeworth's aptitude and ability as a prosecutor. Let our members discuss this matter with the clear conscience of the goddess of law. Clear conscience? Don't make me laugh. Courtney, please give us your report. On April 5th, Prosecutor Edgeworth carried out an illegal investigation and resisted arrest. He was arrested by two of our members who caught him in the act, myself and Blaze the Best. Prosecutor Edgeworth disrupted the investigation of Attorney Jill Crane's murder. He claims that the culprit, Kay Faraday, was arrested without sufficient evidence. Even now, his claim remains unchanged. Tell us more about the murder incident. On April 5th, the victim's body was found here in the PIC meeting room. Regarding the details... Sebastian the best prosecutor will enlighten you. The prosecutor in charge, Sebastian the Best, will explain the rest of the details. The matter happened on the night of April 4th. The victim was one Jill Crane. On the same night, a black market auction was being held in this very meeting room. I guess Miss Crane was taking part in the auction, yep. The matter occurred in the middle of the auction. The matter occurred in the middle of the auction, did it not? Damn it. When Miss Crane was found, she was dressed like the conductor of the auction. However, based on the fact that the auction continued after the matter occurred, I deduced that Miss Crane could not have been the conductor. You weren't the one to make the deduction. Sebastian, please show everyone the basis for the arrest of the culprits. You got it, Justine. Kay Faraday was unable to bear the weight of her good conscience. I believe you mean her guilty conscience. Yes, it was her guilty conscience that drove her to confess the crime. According to her confession, on the roof of this building, she met a figure in a red raincoat on the viewing platform. So Crane was wearing a red raincoat. Yes, that is correct. The culprit used the conductor's clothes as a red herring to mislead us. At the time of the murder, Miss Crane was wearing a red raincoat. Sorry. It was I who discovered the raincoat near this building. He did. I'm sure it was one of the forensics teams who found it. To be more precise, it was the forensics team under Sebastian's orders who discovered it. I thought as much. According to the blood analysis, the person in the red raincoat and Miss Crane were the same person. That the decisive evidence is the culprit's own confession. She testified that she killed her. That's right, because the culprit is Kay Faraday. Couldn't have been anyone else but her. Well then, Edgeworth, if you have any objections, let's hear them. I have no objections. I see. It seems all the fight's gone out of you after your little overnight stay. I have no objections to your claim that I investigated illegally. I admit to that. However, I object to the claim that Kay is the culprit. I will testify that Sebastian's investigation was fair and just. Of course it was, Justine. Don't you know that I'm the fairest of them all? Edgeworth, my boy. Despite how things may seem, I actually kinda like you. If, and this is just an if, you see, if you were to withdraw your objection, you might be sitting on the side of the bench tomorrow. I'll ask you one more time, Edgeworth. Do you have any objections? Don't take me for a fool. I advise you to watch what you say. This man is the one who should watch what he's saying. I'm talking about the case, not about a chair. I demand a testimony. By all means, let me hear it. I want to know how the PIC understands this case. Testimony from us, huh? Fine then, if that's what it takes to make you happy. Courtney, give him the materials from the investigation. Sir, but that's...
It's the end of the line for him. I'll let him go out in a blaze of glory.
If you insist, Mr. Chairman.
Received evidence from Justine Courtney. Why don't we have Courtney give the testimony?
I have no objections. Mr. Edgeworth. Don't worry, Kay. You just watch from over there. Summary of the case. Miss Crane went to the black market auction as a customer. The red raincoat was one of the items up for auction. We believe that she left her seat after winning the bid for it. The only exit from the storeroom is the hatch that leads to the blue viewing platform. Miss Crane went out to the viewing platform where she was attacked by Kay Faraday. That was how she met her end, and that concludes my summary of the case. The red raincoat was up for the auction. Is that a fact? It is quite likely. The red raincoat has been a piece of evidence in the assassination attempt on the president of Zhangfa, as you well know. Originally, it should have been stored in an appropriate place, but when I asked about it, I learned that it went missing, and it somehow made its way to the black market auction. Certainly a natural conclusion.
My, well done, Courtney. Your explanation is clear as ever.
I am much obliged. Prosecutor Edgeworth, will you concede defeat now? Sorry, but I didn't plan on it. I see. I am relieved. Relieved? What does she mean? Come to think of it, her reason for questioning me yesterday remains a mystery. Just what is she thinking? Miss Crane went out to the black market... Okay.
Hold it.
So, you're saying that a member of the PIC was involved in illicit dealings? Regarding that, I have no response.
He's right, you know. After this hearing is over, we're going to have to clean up our act.
Splendid decision, Mr. Chairman.
Now. It's only natural, you see. There's no need to flatter me, you know. But, you know, that has nothing to do with you at all, Edgeworth. Because by then, you won't even be a prosecutor anymore, you see. Well, now that this tearful business has been cleared up.
Yes, sir, I will continue. The red raincoat was one of the items up for auction.
Hold it!
So, the red raincoat was also up for auction. Yes, it had belonged to Shelley the Killer.
Based on the circumstances, we must consider that it was an item up for auction, you see.
That was what he wore when he talked to the president of Zhangfa. There was mannequin that was positioned unnaturally amongst the auction goods. That may have been where the red raincoat had been on display. Do you know how the goods were procured? We're currently investigating it, but it's none of your concern, Prosecutor Edgeworth. Soon you will be nothing more than an ordinary individual, and then you will be finished. Seems the results of this deliberation have already been decided. Enough about me, please continue your testimony. Since the raincoat had been up for auction, we believe that she left her seat after winning the bid for it.
Hold it!
Why would the victim immediately leave her seat? That had to do with how the auction was conducted. It seems that after the winning bid, the winner was required to pay for the item immediately. That matches up Miss Hart's testimony. We believe that Miss Crane paid her bid for the raincoat, and then immediately tried to leave the auction. The only exit from the storeroom is the hatch that leads to the viewing platform.
Hold it!
The victim was a PIC member. Couldn't she have also just left from the meeting room? If she had done so during the auction, then its existence would have been revealed to the public. Since Miss Hart knew about it, it seems the cat is already out of the bag. The customers were required to enter and exit from the hatch. Miss Crane was simply following protocol. Considering where the murder took place, she must have tried to leave through there. Miss Crane went out to the viewing platform where she was attacked by Kay Faraday.
Hold it!
Why would Kay just do such a thing? We intend to question her about that later. Later? That seems to be your favorite time for interrogations. The culprit was aware that the customers were required to exit from the hatch. It would have been easy to lie in wait for an ambush. Miss Crane was attacked when she was leaving the hatch. That was how she met her end, and that concludes the summary of the case. Hold it! Let her end. What do you mean by that? She passed away, or to be precise, she was murdered. The candelabra was one of the items in the auction. Therefore, Kay should not have been able to get her hands on it. If she was able to lie in wait for the attack, then she must have known about the storeroom. If she sneaked into the storeroom during the auction, she could have obtained it.
Now, if we only had some way to know for sure where the candelabra was during the entire auction, you know, how about it?
There is no such evidence. My apologies, we hope to find that evidence soon.
Edgeworth, it's too bad, you know. Seems you won't be able to use this line of attack.
The victim encountered the culprit on top of the roof and the crime occurred there. According to her reasoning, the murder took place at the viewing platform. But was that really the case? Some piece of evidence must tell the whole story behind it. So try looking again. Okay. Would that be it? Objection! No. Not that easy. Contradiction. No, there's not. Nope, it's not there either. Crap. Okay, alright, I'm a little stupid. Object, no? Really? What tells the story? Victim's body was discovered in the POC meeting room. The estimated time of death is somewhere between last night and midnight. Cause of death was the wounds. After the conductor and another person into the store room, one of them suddenly started screaming. Objection! Okay. Judge Courtney, I have found it to be strange for a while now. Why is Miss Hart here with us? She is an eyewitness to this case. Isn't it only natural for her to be in attendance? Ah, shucks. I'm more of an ear witness than an eyewitness. Seems that gaining the trust of others isn't your strong point, Judge Courtney. Perhaps I simply do not wish to be as tactless as you. It appears you have failed to get the witness to tell you the most vital information. Please look at this photo. This was taken by Miss Hart. This photo seems to have been taken in the storeroom. And what is of it? According to your reasoning, the incident took place on the viewing platform. However, Miss Hart encountered the incident in the storeroom. That's right, it had taken place just before this photo was taken. But wait, if that's true, then Justine's reasoning... Exactly, it does not hold up. What? Miss Hart, allow me to ask you again. You saw the person in the photo with your own eyes, correct? I sure did. Seen him as plain as day with my own two eyes. And what did you do? What did you think to do at that time? I figured I was able to get a big scoop, you know? I guess that makes sense. That's not what I meant. What did you think of that person? Huh? Well, I reckon she'd help me bring home the bacon. Are you mocking me? Aw, shucks, don't make me that scary old face. It was just a harmless little joke. The person in the red raincoat, I reckon they were the culprit. I hope you understand now. The crime occurred in the... Prosecutor Edgeworth, I cannot understand your argument if you do not say it out loud. If you had simply asked, I would have been more than willing to explain. Explain what? The sounds Miss Hart heard may not necessarily be related to the case.
That is impossible. Enough of your excuses.
Was the voice that Miss Hart heard really that of Miss Crane?
It's just a shady conversation. Must have had something to do with the case.
What did her voice sound like?
Her voice? Well, it beats me. How was I supposed to know? They were both using voice changes.
Yes, the voice Miss Hart heard had been altered by a device. Must therefore... Fucking kidding me? We must therefore question whether they have any bearing on this case. In the middle of a fucking recording. Thanks. You need not object just because you wish to sigh. Judge Courtney, it seems I have greatly overestimated you.
No, Courtney is quite amazing, you see.
You claim that the sounds Miss Hart have heard have no bearing on this case. Even if they do not, it does not change the fact that the crime took place in the storeroom. At the very least, the crime must have at least occurred before the victim went up to the rooftop. The reason being, this evidence proves the crime occurred before the victim went up to the viewing platform.
Take that.
At first, I thought the person in the red raincoat was the culprit. Well, Miss Hart's testimony certainly made it sound that way. Precisely, it was because she saw that person's hand was covered in blood. Anyone who heard her testimony would have arrived at the same conclusion. The person in the red raincoat was the culprit, and the blood on the hand was the victim's. However, if the person in the red raincoat was the victim, then the situation changes completely. Since blood can be seen in this photo, it must have been taken after the crime occurred. Seems to be understanding the wrong impression in regards to the victim's condition. This photo shows the victim was alive after the attack. The victim was definitely attacked in the storeroom. Immediately afterwards, the victim was seen with blood on her hand. That must mean the victim was still alive even after she was attacked. The blood on her hand must have come from her own wound.
No way, are you saying that she died from a hand injury?
No, that is not the case. I suspect she held her hand against the wound. She can't be seen in the photo, but at this moment she must have already suffered a fatal wound.
Oh, if that's true, then it changes a lot of things, you know.
Seems you understand. This refutes the allegations against Kay. Kay encountered the victim after this picture was taken. I believe at that point in time, the victim was already on the verge of death. It's likely Kay just happened to be present when the victim reached the end of her strength. That is quite the coincidence. Indeed, I can only say that she was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Prosecutor Edgeworth, it seems you have forgotten a crucial fact.
Ah, you mean that, right? He must be pretending that he hasn't noticed it yet, you see.
What did you say? Are you implying that I forgot something?
Courtney, I think it's about time you gave him his last rites. Hey, Pops, Justine's with me, you know. Don't order around like that. You know, even though you're my son, you're so embarrassing.
I'm not embarrassing. I'm sorry, but you're both rather embarrassing.
Justine, give Mr. Edgeworth his,
Very well. I shall give him his last rites. When the body was found, there were 3 wounds in Miss Crane's chest. I'm sure you are well aware of what kind of wounds they were, right? Yes, she was stabbed in the heart with 3-pronged candelabra. Is there any person who could survive such an injury? Please take a close look at the autopsy reports. Can you still say the same thing after reading it?
Well done, Justine. With this, Mr. Edgeworth, well...
I will offer a rebuttal, of course.
Why would you do that? Didn't you hear what Justine said?
Of course I did, and I still plan to object it.
It's not fair. You're always opposing me at every turn.
It was never my intention to oppose you.
Huh? Really?
Simply not worth my time.
I see, so that's how it is. Yep, after all, That's enough, you know. You're embarrassing your father. Uh-huh? What do you mean, Pops?
When the body was found, there were three... I'm sure you're well aware of what kinds of wounds they were, right? Yes, she was stabbed in the heart with the three-pronged candelabra. Is there any person who could survive with such an injury? Let's look at the autopsy report one more time. Chest, head wound with post-mortem. Take a close look at the autopsy report. Can you still say the same thing after reading it? At the very least, we cannot be certain that she died instantly. Even if she still had a bit of life left, I doubt she would have held on for long.
Can people survive after being stabbed in the chest? In some cases, maybe they can. Although, maybe they can't. Huh. So in the end, which one is it?
No such human exists. If you think they do, then first. Please take a close look at the autopsy report. Can you still say the same thing after reading it? Hold it. According to the autopsy report, the stab wounds to the left chest caused the fatality. Correct. The autopsy report itself is the foundation for my reasoning. In other words, I just have to shatter that foundation, right? I don't find that amusing at all. I look forward to seeing you try. Nevertheless, please take a close look at the autopsy report before you make a rebuttal. Show me that your reasoning is not just mere conjecture. Very well.
Mr. Edgeworth.
We'll be fine, Kay. There's nothing for you to worry about. Evidence that the victim was alive after the incident. If I can just find that, Kay will be... the blood on the